This amazingly quiet dog is Oliver, and this is his roadmap to success. And the only reason he's quiet is because I have a bully stick right here. Now, basically, this is actually, I'm going to try to summarize what we covered in the session, and this is one of the things I'd like the Guardians to do. What I'm doing is I'm redirecting his attention. I'm giving him something to do to chew. Dogs, when they're stressed, they like to chew things out, and I think he is a little bit stressed out. Now, we have two girls in the house, and he likes to jump up and he mouths and bites at them when their friends are here. And so what we want the dogs to do is to form behavior patterns of whatever it is we'd like them to do. So in his case, because he likes to do that, it's probably a combination of multiple things. Probably too much exercise, or not too much energy, not enough exercise. Lack confusion about where he falls in line of rank on the leader-follower dynamic or spectrum in the house, as well as just being confused. And it feels good. He also, if I chew on the girls, they kind of scream and run away, and that's kind of fun for me. And so I kind of like those things. So one of the rules I would suggest is when the girls want to have a friend come over, we have a new rule where the first thing they have to do is exercise him. So we used a laser. He really liked chasing laser, and he was a healthy, not every dog can chase laser healthy. He was interested but wasn't manic about it. We could also toss the treats up and down the stairs. We'll do it this way. There you go. I'll get you more comfortable. And we could also take him for a walk or play fetch. And so I would say the girls need to give him 10 minutes worth of exercise. Then once we bring him inside, let him kind of go get a drink of water. Give him about 5 or 10 minutes to catch his breath. And what we're going to do is the girl's going to go get a 6-inch bully stick. This is a bully bite, so you want one that's about that big. And then basically we're going to take a chain leash. We're going to run around the leg of one of the legs of the couch or the table or whatever you want, and then attach it to his collar. So then he has 6 feet or 4 feet or 5 feet, however long the leash is. I would probably recommend, if it's a big room, a 6-foot leash. So he has 6 feet. He can kind of run around and do what he wants to do. But he can't get to where the girls are. So the girls are going to be, wherever we tether it, the girls should be able to hang out wherever they want to hang out outside of his reach. And then we're going to give him a bully stick, a 6-inch one. And so we depleted his energy, which sets him up for success. We're using a tool to prevent him from getting to them so they don't feel like he's, it's annoying for them. They want to be able to just enjoy their time without the dog being a nuisance. And then we give him a bully stick to preoccupy or redirect him. So what he's doing now is he's practicing being in the room with the girls while they're giggling and playing and listening to music and doing all the stuff that the girls do, but I can't reach them. And I'm really not interested in them because I got this really high value chew item. And so I'm chewing on this. And what we're helping him do is practice essentially not accosting the girls, which seems like a weird thing to do, but that's kind of what he needs to do is practice that. Now, we started off the session talking about increasing his exercise. I think he'd be a great candidate to go into iFetch. He likes to play, he likes to fetch, he just doesn't know he doesn't drop it because his guardians were doing what a lot of people do and trying to pull it away. So what we want to do is when he has a low value item, this is considered a high value item. When he's got like one of his toys he's allowed to have, and he's got it in his mouth, just grab a treat, get one of your pouches and grab a treat and just go hold it in front of his nose. And once he drops it, pop it in his mouth and say the word drop, but not when he's holding it or somebody else is holding it. He would drop it, it's on the ground, we give him the treat, say the word drop after we put the treat in his mouth, and then let him go back to get chewing on the item. So we want to prove our intentions and earn some trust with him by helping him demonstrate, because I don't really want the ball or whatever he's got in his mouth. I just want him to learn that dropping is rewarded. And after a while, when he comes to you with the ball when you're playing fetch, you hold the treat out, and after this point, you probably just spit it out or drop it right away, pop it in his mouth. Now, when I'm playing fetch, I say the word fetch when I drop it in his mouth. I don't say the word drop. But drop is not something you can practice like ad nauseum. Typically, it's just when he has an item, you quietly pull out a treat and go over and hold it in front of his nose and just say drop it. You wait for him to do it. Don't tell him to drop it first until eventually you say drop it and he does drop it. Then you can use it as a command. But before that, you're just really going to just hold the treat here and wait for him to do it. So I'd suggest the Guardians start an exercise journal. Write down the time and then how long, how many repetitions of the fetch or the laser or how long the walk was. Scent games is another good one. And then if he has a barking incident, write down the time and what was going on. If he barks, starts jumping up or mouthing, write down the time and a little bit about what's going on, just a sentence or two. And then at the end of the day, give him a letter grade, A through F. And if it's anything other than an A, the next day, play around with the elements. Instead of fetching 40 times, maybe fetch 50 times. Or if it's a really low grade, instead of playing fetch twice a day, maybe play fetch 4 times a day. The idea is with the exercise journal, we'll start to notice a trend. You know what? Every time it's longer than 3 hours we exercise him, that's when he gets mouthy. That's when he gets barky. So now we'll just start exercising him every 2.5 hours. All right, it's your turn. It's my sister's turn. And we have some creative ways to exercise him to help set him up for success. Now, walking isn't a bad form of exercise. It's not the most efficient. And it's a little bit stressful, according to his guardian, to walk because he's reactive to other dogs. And so what I would do is exercise him first, then give him 10 minutes to relax, then go for the walk. So you deplete the energy first, and then he's going to be much more amicable, much easier to walk. All right, so that's exercise, which is not going to fix his problems, but it's going to make fixing his problems better or easier, and it's going to amplify the problems that you do have. The next thing that I want to talk about were rules. Now, the guardians here, they want the dog to stay off the furniture, but he still gets up, especially when he looks at that window. So that window, I'd also do the Roman blinds, and do the Roman blinds, all the windows that he can actually access. So we're just going to get a piece of Lego paper, put it on lengthwise, at just the very bottom, and I usually tape it to the inside of the window so the dog can't actually tear it down. This way, every time he goes to the window, he can't see out. It doesn't reward him, and after a while, he'll get out of that behavior pattern. So for the furniture, I would recommend getting some X mats. In this room, we're probably going to need about 5 of them, maybe 6. And they're about $11 a piece. I know it's an expense, but every time that you get up, you leave it under the couch, you unfold it, put it right here when you go to the bathroom. Come back, and he comes over, oh, I'm gonna get on their spot. Oh man, there's the X mats holding my place. Now at the same time, and then after, and I would recommend this is in place for at least 2 months. It takes at least 30 days to form a behavior pattern, but we're not as consistent, so an extra 30 days is really helpful. At the same time we do this, I usually give dogs a dog bed. So remember, for the dog bed, toss for about 3 days. Toss 10 treats in a row, and I tear the treats in half, so half each time. So 5 treats in half. Toss it on there, and every time he licks it up, say the word beach, or whatever the word is you want. So the first way we do is a toss in there. After tossing 10, then hold one here if the beach is where his head is. Get the dog looking this direction, and then with your this hand, drop one on the beach when he doesn't see it, and then just kind of ignore. And then he's like, I smell chicken liver, or whatever it is, and then he goes and finds it. Don't point it out for him. When he discovers it, we say the word beach. So, man, this is a good place to go. Every time I hang out here, there's treats here. The next time I put him into a sit or an LAY, and I give him the treat, and I say the word beach on the beach, obviously. And after I do that for about 2 to 3 days, then he should start gravitating there on his own. When he does, then when he goes over there on his own, very quietly pull out a treat and throw the treat within 3 seconds of him going onto the dog bed. So at first, the treats are enticing me to go to the dog bed. Now the treats are actually rewarding me for going on the dog bed, and we're treating him after the fact, not before. After a while, that'll just be what he does. He just kind of hangs out there, and I like putting it in front of the TV. It's kind of helps motivate the dog a little bit. Now, go to my website, doggoneproblems.com, click on the dog training tips, and then on the right side of the page, there's a search box. Type in doorbell. I have a bunch of posts where I have instructional videos on how you can teach your dog to run away from the doorbell when people ring it. And so I'm not going to explain how to do it here because those videos are really easy. Also, I went over a focus exercise. I'd like the guardian to also go and search for that. And make sure everybody in the house is doing that and follow the instructions in there. You want to get to 15-second focus within about 7 days. Everybody in the house should be practicing it in different parts of the house. Let me see. There was another one for the another video I was going to go over. It's there. I can't remember. It'll come back to me though. We also went over for other rules, not being allowed to be in the kitchen when we're preparing food. Not being allowed. I would put a piece of painter's tape from this wall to this corner of this one, so he's not allowed to be on this side of the line when we're eating dinner here at the table. If the kids are eating anything here, he shouldn't be allowed on the carpet while we're eating. Now remember, I showed you how to use those directional cans to move the dog out. So I touch his nose with the treat, throw the treat just 2 feet outside the carpet. When he goes and licks it up, I say the word out. I do it for every doorway or portal in the house. So I do it, toss it here, toss it there, toss it there, toss it there. So we get used to being able to direct him to leave any area. And what I do is I take a treat and I tear it in half. I toss one, comes back, toss the second one. After I've done every portal or doorway in the house, then I would stand there and toss the treat in here. And when he licks this one up, I would say living for living room, kitchen, dining, Cameron. So now we have Cameron means go to Cameron's room, or dining means go to this particular area. So we always want to create the vocabulary first before we actually try to shoo our dog away. I also went over petting with a purpose and other rules. You have to sit it before you let the dog in or out the door. Remember, double length of time. Sit. We have 3 seconds to sit. If you don't sit, walk away, sit down, wait 1 minute, then go back and command him to sit a second time. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds the first time you say it, then walk away for 2 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 8 minutes. Keep double length of time. Eventually, when he goes and sits at the door, that's his way of saying I'd like to go out, and immediately go over there and let him out. Let me see. Also, don't let him race up and down the stairs ahead of you or run through a doorway ahead of you. For dogs, whoever's in front is perceived to be in charge. The next thing I would do is, or that we talked about, was petting with a purpose. Petting with a purpose is basically if he comes up and tells me what to do and I do it, that validates that he's in charge of me, and that can contribute to the stress. I think he has some cortisol in his blood. He's a little bit stressed out because he thinks he's in charge of the humans, but they don't always listen to him. That stresses him out like a parent. I'm sure not in this house, but in some houses, the kids don't always listen to mom. And so if that's the case, that can stress out mom and dad. So same sort of thing for the dog. I'm telling humans what not to do, and they keep on letting people in the house anyway. So I have to go and bark at them, nip at them when they move without my permission, or jump up on them to claim them. So the more that we can help the dog practice not doing those things and seeing us acting like leaders, because when he comes up, when he breaks the rules, we're enforcing it consistently. Now, if he comes up and nudges me, instead of me doing what he wants for petting with a purpose, I tell him to sit. When he sits, then I pet him and say the word sit. Remember to probably pet under the chin and just say the word sit, not good sit, not, I want to say Odie. Why am I forgetting his name?
Oh, Oliver.
Oliver. I knew it was
Or
an
Ollie.
Not Oliver sit, just sit. And not sit, just sit. So if he's already sitting, I ask him to lay down or ask him to sit over on this side. And then after a while, if he tells us what to do, that's a leadership mindset. If he asks us, that's a follower's mindset. So eventually what will happen is he'll come sit in front of you to prepay for some attention, and make sure you do pet him when he does that, because now he's showing you a desired behavior. I'll use the watchword to paycheck. You come in the room, you see someone's petting, you suspect they petted without a purpose, you say paycheck. They have to stop petting, even if they did it the right way. Tell the dog to sit or lay, and then when he does lay, then you say, actually, Mom, I asked him to sit, and I did it right, but I appreciate you looking out and reminding me, because sometimes I do forget. Remember, keep it constructive. So petting with a purpose is redirecting him when he gives us an order, or even if we just want to pet him, he has to do something to earn it. This will boost his self-esteem, increase his respect for the humans as authority figures, and help him practice sitting in various situations. The other thing I do is called passive training. Passive training is waiting for the dog to organically offer you the behavior that you want on its own. So every time that Ollie comes over to you, pet him and say, come. Every time he sits next to you, pet him and say, sit. Every time he lays down, pet him and say, lay. So after a while, every time he goes to the dog bed, call it beach or whatever it is. So it brings you a toy, name each individual toy. Call that Rubik's for if a square toy of some sort. Goodyear for the tire. So that way we can come up with a vocabulary to leave the room, to bring a specific toy, to go to a specific place. I do this passive training, I do this for feeding time. I put the food in the bowl, and that's another rule we didn't go over. Make sure that you're not free feeding him. So you put the food down, don't allow him to have it. You eat something in 5 more bites, because dogs eat in the order of the rank. So whoever's feeding should eat something first. Real meal would be great, but that doesn't always work with their lifestyle. Just a chip or cracker in 5 small bites. Then invite him over to eat his food, and when he takes his first bite of food, say the word sushi or pizza or taco or whatever the name of your favorite restaurant or your favorite dish is. So every time he hears the word taco, I've got food in my mouth. After like 2 months, taco means I get to go eat. And coming up with these funny command words can really help, because dogs can read facial expressions. So if you're hanging out with your friends and he's being a nuisance and you go put his food down and say taco, your friends think that's funny. But also make him wait for doing it. Don't just put the food down and let him rush over and get it. Helping him practice a little delayed gratification is a wonderful way for dogs to develop a little self-control. So put the food down, and stand there facing him. Don't let him go around you. And then once he wait for him to sit. As soon as he sits, then invite him over to eat his food. He won't know why it's happening, but as soon as he sits, call him over. So whoever's feeding him has to be really attentive. And after a while, he realizes, oh, so if I want to eat, I have to sit first. Well, that's a more subordinate position, way of saying please or thank you. So I put the food down, and I I eat my 5 bites, and I just stare at the dog and block him if he tries to go towards it. And as soon as he sits, I turn aside and invite him in and tap the bowl. He takes his first bite of food. We say taco or whatever the word is. This way he sees you guys eating first, and so it helps you reinforce that you have more status than him. You're controlling the food, which also makes you an authority figure through your actions. And then you're saying you eat when I give you permission to eat. It's the most important activity for dogs. Is he a pretty good eater, or is he a lazy eater?
He's finicky. It'll take him hours to finish.
Okay, so the longer you leave it, the less interest he's going to have in it. If I'm on a diet, I don't eat Burger King, but if I'm on a diet, the commercials for Burger King look really good. When I can not on a diet, I wouldn't eat that swill, but if I can't have something, then I want it. So the longer we leave it, that's kind of a common mistake people make with dogs. So what kind of food do you feed him?
Iams mini chunks.
It's like a C plus food, not a horrible food, but it's not a great food. Also, what I learned from the Green Spot, and if you're, I'll give you, actually I'll do it now when I think about it, my favorite store in Omaha, the Green Spot, and they gave us these little cards. So if you go in there, this will get you $5 off whatever you buy at the Green Spot. And I would just tell them what your price point is, and what they have taught me to do is change the flavor. So I feed a Kana. So first, this bag might be Wild Atlantic. Next one might be free range poultry. The next one might be apple and dumpling or whatever it is. And so it has the same core ingredients, but they change the flavor. Even if you love pizza, if that's all you eat, after a month you're like, can I eat an apple, some tofu or something? So we want to give that variety. That might help him. And also when it comes to food, the temperature is more important than the taste. I add a little bit of warm water to my dog's food. But you have to be careful when you do that because that'll make them potty in about 45 minutes for fluids. So I would go to the Green Spot, tell them what you want, what you're feeding now, and what your price point is. That'll get you $5 off your first bag. And they also do it, I think, every 10 bags for most of the flavors. You get a free bag, and so this way you can get and change the flavors and keep it more appealing for him. But put the food down, and then you eat, and then you give him permission to eat. And if he doesn't go over the bowl and takes, don't encourage him too many times. Encourage him once or twice, 3 times. If he walks away, pick up the bowl, dump it empty, and put the empty bowl back down. And then him, 99% of the time, the dog go lick the empty bowl. Well, what's up? Well, when you walk away, the food goes away. This is no longer open food because they eat in the order of their rank. So if you have dominion over that, that really helps elevate you guys as authority figures. And after a while, he might get hungry. Well, he will get hungry after a day or 2. So if it goes longer than 3 days, message me. But usually I mean somebody in the house is cheating for him. So you're not saying you can't eat. You're saying you eat when I tell you to eat. And if you don't eat, then you don't eat until the next meal. I feed my dogs 3 times a day. I'd recommend at least twice a day. And I would only feed him dinner at first if he eats breakfast. So otherwise he eats dinner. A lot of times they eat later in life, later in the day, but it's not healthy for them to eat late at night just like us. It's better for us a bigger meal earlier in the day. And so use that passive training. Every time he takes his first bite of food for 2 months, say taco or pizza or whatever it is, after a while that becomes the command word for eating. And you'll notice that he'll start eating faster and quicker. I mean, for me, I give my dogs up to 5 minutes. Even if they're still eating, I pick up the bowl and dump it because 5 minutes is really 4 minutes too long for most dogs. He might probably like, no, you're not the boss of me. I'm not going to eat. You're not in charge of me. That's fine. Then I dump the food and he'll go lick the empty bowl. After a day or 2, oh, you are in charge of me. Yes, I'll eat when you tell me to eat. And then every time we feed him, that's also another reinforcement that we are the leader and you're the follower. Now, one last little thing that we can do, he's a big demand barker. That's probably the biggest issue for him, even though their mouthing is not desired as well. But for the barking, we're going to use the video above and teach him first to be quiet, or silence. And so really rep that and then start elongating that. So at first it's only silence for half second, then a full second, then a second and a half, 2 seconds. Get to the point where you're going to have about 2 to 5 seconds of silence. Then once he knows it, if he demand barks, say silence. And if he's quiet, then reach over and pet him and say silence. And then you can engage with him a little bit. If he doesn't, if he barks again, the first bark after you say silence, stand up and march out of the room and close the door behind you. And what you're saying is, you bark, not only does it not get me to be your play toy, it causes me to leave the area and you get no access to me. But if you wait for the 3rd bark, he's like, oh, she likes up to 2 barks, but after the 3rd bark, then she wants away. So I'll just bark twice. And they can actually learn to get that sophisticated. So just the first bark, march out of the room, and then wait for him to stop barking for at least 10 seconds before you come back. Well, 10 is ideal, at least a couple seconds before you come back out. And when you come back out, act like he's not even there. Matter of fact, speaking of that, when you come home, act like he's not there. Anytime he's excited, act like he's not there. Excited is an unbalanced state of mind. Most of us confuse excited for happy when it comes to dogs. But I was just talking to the guardian, if I'm going to have surgery, the last thing I want my surgeon to be is excited. I want him to be boring and calm and relaxed. Dogs make more mistakes when they're overstimulated or excited. I've seen people taking the dog for a walk. You go for walkies? You go for walkie? You go for walk. And they get the dog all worked up and they wonder why it doesn't behave well. Well, it's out of balance. And every time you do that, you're going to make your dog slightly more excited for that same activity. And after enough practice, he's just going to have difficulty listening to himself. The dog's energy before the walk is the energy, while you're leashing them, is the energy they're going to carry on the walk, which is why exercising him first and making sure he's practiced being calm before the walk is a great way to do it. If you want a video on how to do that, go to Dog-Gone Problems and click on dog training tips in the search box, type in calm leash, and some videos should come up of where I show people how to do that. It takes a lot of time at first, but once you do it consistently, the dog will just stays calm right away. Anything else I want to go over?
I don't think so.
The other
well,
video was sorry.
What's that?
The other video was vacuum.
The other video was vacuum. So just go search for vacuum, and it just shows you how to break down, introduce the vacuum to your dog in individual steps. Go at your dog's pace, but if you do it right, the dog won't mind the vacuum going out there. But I would also do the doorbell thing. That counter condition of the doorbell is pretty cool when you get that set up. This is a family show. Can we not lick down there? All right. Well, this is Ollie or Oliver, and this is Oliver's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.